The road to Super Bowl 57 in the Phoenix metropolitan area continues this weekend with 4 divisional round matchups. On this video, I'm going to take a look at the 4 matchups, give predictions, and a brief synopsis of each game, as we should have a much clearer picture as to who might be representing who on Super Bowl weekend in my old stomping grounds of Glendale, AZ. Now, granted, I never lived in Glendale. I lived in Gilbert. I lived in Mesa, and I lived in Tempe and Mesa, Phoenix. If you ever watched American Dad, you'll get the reference. Also, real quick, if you guys want my thoughts on the games that happened on Super Wildcard Weekend and a breakdown of each, no problem. Go to my channel, click on the videos. It should not be hard to find. It should be right underneath this or atop this. Just it'll be labeled accordingly, so be sure to check that out. And you know the drill by now, guys. Like, share, subscribe. You know why. Don't got to tell you. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Give you why you're here, and that is my predictions and breakdowns for the divisional round. First off, we got our Saturday games, and the first one will be a real doozy, as you've got the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs, taking on the number 6 seed Jacksonville Jaguars. You've got teacher versus pupil as Andy Reid faces his old protege in Doug Peterson, and what a masterful job Peterson has done in Duval County in his first year there. The skies are bright, and I think they've got themselves the coach that is going to lead Jacksonville to some great happenings. I mean, the guy won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, which a lot of Eagles fans thought they'd never see in their lifetime. Things did skid off the rails a little faster than I expected there, but look, this guy can flat out coach, and he is showing it this year. He inherited a dumpster fire of an organization that had two of the most miserable years you could possibly ask for out of a franchise. And let's be honest, the third one prior to that, in Marone's second to last year, there wasn't exactly anything to shake a stick at either. So, but Peterson's coming there, and he said, forget all that. Let's bury all that in the past, and let's move on to the here and now. And he's got the Jaguars not only as AFC South champions, but they're coming off one of the biggest comebacks in playoff history last weekend against the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, and look, this team's won 6 in a row. They had a game that looked like it was going to be a complete whitewashing, but they refused to quit. They fought back. They scrapped and clawed and wound up picking up that huge victory over a damn good Charger team that I thought could be a sneaky Super Bowl squad. So this one's going to be interesting, man. I mean, I know some people that are Chiefs fans are saying, oh, this is walk in the park. It ain't. And I'm telling you right now, Trevor Lawrence will not throw 4 interceptions in the first half again, which, by the way, there's a storyline for you. Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, you'll be seeing this matchup plenty of times in their respective NFL careers. Mark my words on it. But look, I mean, Lawrence last week showed franchise caliber leadership, showed why he was so highly hyped. And I know people say, well, he threw 4 picks in the first half. Not taking that away, but he put it behind him. Look, even Superman has a couple of rough nights in the office, but Lawrence did not let it spiral out of control. He and Peterson rallied the team, said, let's forget it. Let's get out there and let's move on and continue. And he brought this team back and picked up the win. And they got a Chiefs team. Look, I'm going to say it on paper. This Chiefs defense is not as good as the Chargers one. Patrick Mahomes, I think, is a better quarterback than Justin Herbert, but it's not like it's a drastic difference. I think the offense in LA is more rounded than what the Jaguars are going to face this week. And defense-wise, look, the Jaguars held Los Angeles to 145 yards in the second half, which allowed that comeback to happen. This is intriguing. This is very intriguing. Now, their secondary is a little shaky. You know, they've got one corner spot locked down. It looks like it's going to be okay for a while, and I think he'll make it intriguing. But I think Mahomes is going to have his, time against this secondary in Jacksonville. But on the flip side of that, look, the Chiefs' defense is not very strong. They give up the big plays. They give up the yards. Trevor Lawrence will certainly do with them as he sees fit, too. So I see this being a real slugfest. I really do. This is going to be a back-and-forth affair. And I absolutely could see the Jaguars pulling out their 7th consecutive win. Now, going into Arrowhead is a much different ball game, but here's a couple of statistics to throw out at you. While Andy Reid is 27-4 in his coaching career, both with Philadelphia and Kansas City, coming off a bye week in the NFL playoffs, this game is on Saturday. Lawrence has never lost a football game in his playing career, heading back to junior high school and high school on Saturday. Never. Guys, I'm going to call it. I see the Jaguars pulling off another shocker here. I just think they're red hot. They're going to be motivated. They're going to be firing on all cylinders after last week. And as I stated, I don't see Lawrence having the first half that he did last week against the Chargers. God, I see them pulling off the shocker. I really do. I got the Jaguars moving on to the AFC Championship game. Duval County rejoice. This is going to be something to look forward to. Jaguars move on. I'm going to say 27-24. Second game of the day will feature a battle of the NFC East. Excuse me, I almost said AFC. NFC East, as you've got the Eagles taking on the Giants. Talk about a great first year at the helm. I raved about what Doug Peterson did, but what Brian Daboll has done in East Rutherford with that Giant team that had been a mess for a while has been phenomenal. I don't know whether he or Peterson's coach of the year, but believe me, if it's not one of those two, it's a damn travesty because both of them did phenomenal jobs. And Daboll, I mean, look, he was inheriting Daniel Jones. A lot of people thought Daniel Jones was a bust. He was going to ride out the time and just wait to get his own quarterback in there. But what he's done with Jones is turned him in and unleashed him and captivated his full potential and has him looking like a damn good NFL quarterback. I'm not going to say franchise guy, but Jones has looked pretty damn good this year. And that's because of Daboll, which, look, he unlocked the same potential with Josh Allen, similar style quarterbacks. So, the guy sort of knows what he's doing. Now, that being said, speaking of quarterbacks that had a huge step forward this year, would be remiss if I did not talk about Jalen Hurts. Had a great year, very viable MVP candidate, and the Eagles have turned on all cylinders all season long. I love what the Giants have done. I really do. But playing against Minnesota in Minnesota is one thing. Their defense is okay, but this Eagle defense is one of the top two in the National Football League. They're going to make things very, very difficult for Jones. They're going to make things very difficult for a Giant offense that outside of Saquon Barkley and Jones has, isn't exactly going to light the world on fire and have you thinking of the greatest show on turf. I do know the Eagles can score in droves. They've got a great receiving core. They've got a solid running game with Hurts, being able to run the ball himself along with sling it. And, you got that monsters, those multiple monsters in the backfield. I'd love to see the Giants, make this competitive, and maybe they will. I think they probably will, but I'm picking Philadelphia to move on here. I just think this team is too loaded and too strong to lose here. So, again, Saturday winners, I'm going to have the Jaguars and the Eagles advancing on. Now moving to Sunday. In the NFC first, we will have a battle of Dallas and San Francisco, two teams that are certainly no strangers to one another in meaningful football in the month of January. A little bit different circumstances, though. This isn't Bill Walsh and Tom Landry, but it's, a couple of different coaches. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, elite coach. What he's done this year has been phenomenal and proven that, he is one of the top coaches in the National Football League. This offense a little bit different, man. I mean, and Brock Purdy, the 7th-round rookie out of Iowa State, he's got something to him. I mean, he's got that 6-0 record, and he goes out there, and all he does is produce. All he does is win. All he does is put the team in position to succeed. You throw in the fact that they've got a very good receiving core on tap, with Ayuk and Samuel. Christian McCaffrey, I cannot emphasize how big of an addition he's been to that lineup. This offense is very, very potent, very, very strong. And they've got an elite defense in their own right. Again, one of the best in the National Football League. Meanwhile, you got Dallas, Dak Prescott. This is a prove-it game to him. I mean, winning a playoff game was big. That was a big win, especially when they went out there and took Tampa Bay behind the woodshed and absolutely kicked the snot out of them. But this is a little bit different, man. This is a little bit different. This isn't a sub-500 Tampa Bay team, respect to Tom Brady, GOAT, but this was a Buccaneer team that, and I say, in a reverence way. Look, they won the NFC South because the rest of the division is garbage. It's shit. This 49er team is legit. Now, they got the pieces. Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard can run the ball for days. CeeDee Lamb is very, very, very good as a wide receiver. In fact, I would say he's probably the best receiver of either two teams. Kittle versus Schultz in their tight end game, Kittle's probably the better one, but Schultz, you could flip a coin. Offensively, this is close. Defense, San Francisco's better, but it's not drastic. It's not like the Cowboys are inept on that side of the football. Here's what it comes down to, though. Mike McCarthy, Kyle Shanahan, who flinches? We know Shanahan's great through 3 quarters. It's in the 4th quarter where he starts to fall apart, but I don't think it's this week, man. I don't think it's this week. I just think that the 49ers are the more well-rounded team. I think they've got it on both sides of the football, and I think they're a tick better than Dallas all across the board. So in that circumstance, I am picking San Francisco to move on. I'm going chalk. I know I'm being lazy there. Now in the AFC, we will have the matchup that started and could not complete. So we wondered, were they ever going to get that game in? Yeah, they're getting it in this week in the AFC divisional round. As Buffalo this time will be the host team taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. We all know what happened, why that game never got, completed. My thoughts, Damar Hamlin, a great inspirational story. I'm so glad he's okay and, going to continue on and live a prosperous life. But they're going to get this on here in a game that means a hell of a lot. Winner moves on. The Bengals, I got to tell you, red hot. Cincinnati is red hot, winners of 9 in a row. This Bengal team was a hair away from winning the Super Bowl last year against a loaded Rams team. And I think this squad now, this 2022-2023 incarnation is quite a bit better than last year's squad. I know it's the same, assets on offense with Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Mixon. They improved that O-line. Their defense is, a little bit better, a little bit more seasoned, and they got that experience under their belt. Meanwhile, you got Buffalo. On paper, I'm going to say this right off the bat. On paper, the Bills are the most talented team on both sides of the football in the playoffs now. They are the best team. However, and I say this as a diehard Miami Dolphin fan for almost 39 years, Miami, with Skylar Thompson, 3 offensive linemen that were off the bench, one that was plucked off the practice squad, a backup running back, Jeff Wilson, and Ahmed, who was, those two ran all over the place. They made it much closer than it should have been. Hats off to the Dolphins. I give them an A for effort. They went out there and put their balls on the ground and refused to back down. But I'm telling you, Cincinnati at full strength is a hell of a lot better than the Dolphin team we saw last week. If Buffalo comes out flat like that, or, not even flat. Buffalo went out there and they showed points, but they also showed a lot of flaws. And we've seen Josh Allen have some, games where they were very questionable in the playoffs. Maybe this was his turn to Punch Bowl last week, but Burrow and Allen's going to be a slugfest. Another game you're going to see a lot here in meaningful January football over the years, but this being the first of them. There's something about this Cincinnati team, though, guys. There is something about them. They saw last year's close but no cigar miss in the Super Bowl as motivation. We want to get back there again. It's not going to be like that 88 team where they wind up, it was a nice story. They weren't expected to be there, but it was nice they got in by surprise. It wasn't like the 81 team that was the same thing with Ken Anderson, one of the all-time underrated quarterbacks in NFL history. This team was built to sustain. And this team went out there led by Burrow and said, look, that was nice. That sucked, though, at the end, and we want to get back there and finish what we started. I just think the Bengals are a little bit better, man. I think their running game's better. I think that, Burrow versus Allen, I think you could flip a coin. The receiving game, like Diggs is no joke. Gabe Davis is no joke. But you match that with Higgins and, Chase and Tyler Boyd as a number 3. God, I'm calling it, guys. I got Cincinnati pulling this one off, and we have a Battle of the Cats in the AFC Championship game that will take place next week in the jungle in Cincinnati, OH. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you think I'm crazy, let me know in the comment section below. But again, real quick synopsis, real quick recap. I have Jacksonville moving on to face Cincinnati, and I have Philadelphia facing San Francisco in the NFC. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Thanks for listening.